What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we'll be going over QLabel and QtAlignment in PyQt6. QLabel is a widget in PyQt6 that is pretty much the simplest widgets you can have. It's basically a one-line text that you place on the screen. Now, a widget in PyQt6 is something that the user interacts with. So really anything that we're placing directly onto the screen can be considered a widget because most likely the user will be interacting with it either visually or actually like clicking it or using it. Okay, let's take a look. So here's the exact same application as we had last video per usual, except we're not going to be needing any of the Q push button or stuff that we did last video with signals and slots. We're just going to completely erase all of this. So this method here can go, and also all of this. So we're basically starting from scratch again so we can define these widgets. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about QLabel. So the first thing that we're going to do is from the QtWidgets class, because QLabel is a Qt widget, we're going to import QLabel. So at the top here, we're just going to import QLabel. And now what we can do is we can create a widget. We can set it equal to an instance of the QLabel class. Okay, so we have a widget. We're setting it as an instance of QLabel, and we can pass an argument here as a string. So similar to how we pass an argument as a string for the QPushButton label or widget, we can do the same thing for a QLabel. So I'm going to just put my label. And of course, as we've mentioned in previous videos, we have to actually display the widget. So I'm going to do self.set central widget. So this should just be a piece of text somewhere on the screen that says my label. So let's run it, and you can see that it's centered vertically, but it's on the far left. Okay, so that's where they decided to place it. Now, there are a few things that we can do with this QLabel object. First thing we can do is we can change the font size. So what I can do is I can say font equals widget dot font. So this just gets the font from the widget that we have, the QLabel. And what we can do is I can do font dot set point size, and we can experiment with this, but for now I'm just going to put 30, and then I can just do widget dot set font and then font. So just going over this, we're getting the font from the QLabel object. We're setting its font size to 30. It must be an integer. The argument is an int. And then we're just resetting the widget to the font that we just changed, okay? So we changed an attribute of the font, so we're just resetting it. And then we're just displaying the widget. So now you can see that the label is much bigger than it was before. And I think that's good enough. Okay. Now, in addition to font, we can also use QtAlignment. So what we're going to do is, I mentioned in my very first video how PyQt6 has 3 main classes, and one of them is QtWidgets. Well, it also has QtCore. And what QtCore does, it has the Qt namespace. So I'm going to do at the top of my class from PyQt6.QtCore import Qt, and this will give me access to the Qt namespace. Now we're going to go over this briefly in this video, but we will touch on it in a later video. So, but for now, we're just going to be using the QtAlignment. Okay. So what I can do here is I can do widget.set alignment. So if I wanted to set the alignment, notice how this program now, this program now, it's centered somewhat oddly. Say I wanted to center in the middle. I have the ability to do that by doing widget.set alignment. And this is where the Qt class comes into play. So I can do, see the argument here is an alignment flag. So what I can do is Qt.alignment flag.align center. Now this may seem pretty weird at first, but all we're doing is we're using this Qt namespace here. This Qt dot is known as the Qt namespace, and then this alignment flag allows us to align it to whatever we please. So here I'm doing align center, so it should align it to the center both horizontally and vertically. So now if we run this, you can see now that once I expand this, it's centered in the middle of the screen. No matter where I resize it, it's always centered. Okay, I like that. Now I can also center it horizontally, so I can do align 8 centers. This centers it horizontally and not vertically. So you can see that it will be centered at the top of the screen, but it won't be centered in the middle. And I can also use something called a pipe. Now, a pipe really just joins two of these properties together. So, for example, if I wanted to align it in the center horizontally and vertically, I could do what I did earlier with just the one method, but I could also do Qt.alignment flag.align vcenter. So what I'm doing here is I'm aligning it horizontally in the center, then I'm using this pipe, just one pipe, and then I'm saying I'm aligning it vertically. So you can only do this with 2 properties, so I can't add another pipe here. This won't work. We can join only 2 at a time. So if I run this, it's just like running the singular center property, and you can see it's centered in the middle of the screen. So if I wanted to align it, say, vertically to the center, I can also align it to the left or to the right. So I'll align it to the right, horizontally. So you can see it's stuck on the right-hand side of the screen, but it's aligned vertically. So we can do a lot of different things with the Qt namespace and the Qt alignment. And these are just a few examples. All right. That's all I have today for QLabel and the Qt alignment and Qt namespace. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.